You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one is for Nisioisin Shill, who says, rant about the Faust magazine. I thought I had done a video about Faust magazine. I didn't check to make sure, so maybe I did. But Faust magazine is fascinating because it was basically a manga and light novel magazine that was created to be sort of the edgier, more out there, variant to a lot of what was popular at the time. So we're talking, when I say like light novel magazine, I mean like light novelists would publish short stories or, like chapters of continuing stories through this magazine. A lot of guys who were like the early light novelists that got popular, like Kohei Kodono, who wrote Boogie Pop, Nisio Scene, Maijo Otaro, whose work is absolutely insane. He's totally fucking unhinged. Tatsuhiko Takemoto, who wrote Welcome to the NHK, had a column in it. Like, all these authors who wrote in these, like, very psychologically themed stories with, dark urban fantasy kind of settings, were writing in Faust magazine. And I don't think it was, like, a monthly publication. I believe it was quarterly or something. There was also something called the Faust Box, and it didn't run for super long. It was only around for like a few years. I don't really know how popular or influential it truly was, but it seemed like a hell of a cool thing that I would have been mad fucking into. And they released two... I don't know how to describe it, because as I understand it, Faust was a magazine. That's how it's described. What they released in America is not a magazine. It is more of like an anthology collection, but it looks like a manga book. And I have them. I should just... Oh, it's right there. Cool. It's conveniently located. This is Faust Volume 1. So you see, it looks like a manga that would sit on your shelf, maybe a little thick, but you see the list of names on the side. Now, what's interesting about this is that... I can't get it to focus. Well, the names list goes Clamp, Obata, Ueda, Nisio Isin, Koga, Take, Kodono. Now, if you know Take, you know him as the artist of Katanagatari, what's it called? The original one. Nisio Isin's first series, Zare Goto. He was the artist for both of those. He also does some art in here. And you've got a Vofan Bit, who's the artist for the Monogatari series. You've got, what else is in here? There's, in Volume 2, a Hajime Ueda. Oh, I guess there's Hajime Ueda in this one as well. I think he does the art for the Kohei Kodono story that's in here. He's the guy who did the, the ED art for the Monogatari series and the Fulikuli manga. But again, you will notice that the first names on there were Clamp and Obata, because the illustrations for the first couple chapters, the first thing that's in here is Nisio Isin's Chapter 1 for his XXX Holic light novel. And the second thing in here is an Otsuichi story, who was also a popular light novel author, who had several of his books published in America. His is illustrated by Takeshi Obata, who does Death Note. So basically what they were trying to market this with is, hey, Clamp, Death Note, like right there, hey, these are big names that you guys would know. Except that, while I think that would work with Clamp, I don't really know if Takeshi Obata's name is like common, like, well known enough that he would be like a draw for something like this. I mean, the cover is something totally original, and, like, this is just such a weird release. Like, nothing like this has ever been done, with, like, through a manga publisher. Nothing like this has ever sat on the manga shelves at a bookstore, and this one didn't sit on that many shelves. It was not easy to find, even when it was new. But it says, a stunning new collection of fiction inspired by the fantastic world of manga and featuring artwork by the best in the business, including, and then it has like descriptions of each short story. Just nothing about this really lets you know what it really is, except when you start reading it, because there's tons of information inside, where they have bonus features talking to some of the authors, talking about like they have the publisher of the magazine like writing about their intentions of having it brought to America and things like that. Um, I don't know if they were planning to make more than two of these. They only made two. All of the stories are self-contained, so there wasn't like, it wasn't as though you were going, well, except for Garden of Sinners, volume part one, which is incomprehensible in this English translation. I mean, I've heard it is anyways, but particularly when you have the Shiki's speech gimmick not translating correct, it is just confusing. But yeah, like this book really gave me a sense of the idea of what like the early light novel culture was like. That all these authors are connected. The reason that they read similarly is that they were all working together, and like there's parts where they're having conversations with each other about some of their influences. There's parts where like because there's like a transcribed interview with all of them in here. There's little advice columns, again, written by the Welcome to the NHK author and another guy, Yuya Sato, who's not good. There's a manga, there's like a full manga chapter, like a one-shot, written by Nisio Isin and illustrated by the author of Loveless in here as well. So yeah, like it's just full of cool art and cool stories, and it's fucking awesome, and it's not easy to come by. And I wish it was, because this is like, even though I've not even read either of these books all the way through, like straight up, I have not finished either of these books. Like the parts that interested me the most were not really the short stories so much as the meta of learning about the books, like learning what the origin was, learning how these authors were connected and all that. That was what really intrigued me out of this. Even more so. And like the fact that it opens from the front as novels, but you could also open it from the back to read the manga so that it's correctly placed. There's color pages and shit. Actually, weirdly, the first three manga are all like super short colored ones, and then it has them all again in black and white for some reason. Don't know why they did that. But yeah, this is, it's cool shit. I wish that both the Japanese magazine was still going and that this one was still going, but I don't think that style of like zine is really that big of a thing anymore. I mean, it was more in the vein of like a manga magazine, like a Shonen Jump or something. So obviously, there's tons of that stuff still in Japan. Magazines have basically died in the West, so I don't know if there's any hope for that, but I think it's cool shit.